Nick Clegg has just delivered his address to the Liberal Democrat conference in Brighton, urging the party faithful to keep faith with coalition government rather than, in his words, retreating to the innocence of opposition. But he conceded this would involve more hard choices for the Lib Dems, with austerity set to last deep into the next parliament. Joining me now to discuss the speech is the FT's editor Lionel Barber. Lionel, how did you think he did?
Well, Nick Clegg is not Barack Obama, but it was a workmanlike speech with the occasional rhetorical flourish, all, as you said, under this slogan that essentially we have moved from the comforts of opposition to the harsh and hard realities of government.
And he talked about it being a historic moment for the Lib Dems, and he said, look, we've got a chance here to become a party of government, and in his words, not to be a stop the world, I want to get off party. You were in Brighton earlier this week and you were talking to the rank and file. Do you get the sense that they're ready to make the further sacrifices that will involve?
Well, I didn't see many people wearing assassins' cloaks. I didn't feel that this was like the Tory party conferences, for example, where John Major was, where there was a lot of dissatisfaction with his leadership and mutterings of plots. It just didn't feel like that. I think Nick Clegg will go down, whatever the outcome, as an historic figure who took his party into government at a time of national crisis. I mean, we have a budget deficit running at 8.5%. The question is, will he lead his party into the next election, and is Britain stuck with national government, coalition government?
It's a very interesting point, because for many of our viewers and readers around the world, particularly in Europe, coalition is the norm rather than the exception. It is here. Have the Libs done enough yet to convince British voters that it can be a long-term option in Britain?
Well, right now the Liberal Democrats are sitting around 10% in the national polls. They've slipped dramatically, particularly over the last year, where there's been a lot of bickering between the Lib Dems and the Conservatives, their partners. However, there is a case for saying that maybe they've bottomed out and things will change as we get closer to the election, where people feel they'll take another look at Ed Miliband, the Labour leader, and certainly a hard look at David Cameron. The fact is that Britain doesn't have a tradition of coalition politics. We're used to one party dominant in the Parliament making all the laws.
He was very blunt about the need to push ahead with fiscal consolidation. He said the welfare state had grown too big in recent decades, and yet he said the Lib Dems can make a difference in coalition, particularly in education, where he made some new commitments. Do you think that he can pull this off in the remaining period of the government? Can he do enough to convince the Lib Dems that he's delivering for them?
Well, first of all, this was an important message on austerity, which Nick Clegg delivered today. He said austerity, belt tightening, is going to last well into the next Parliament. Now remember, when he started off in government, he and the Conservative partners said they would eliminate that structural deficit, that's the non-cyclical part, within this current Parliament. That's not going to happen. So this is quite a tough message to deliver. Second point is, yes, he really does think that he can make a difference. And actually, on policy and on education, for example, he definitely did that with the Gove reforms.
So now we move on to Labour in Manchester this weekend, then the Tories in Birmingham. How do you see the debate evolving over the next 2 weeks?
Ed Miliband, the Labour leader, is going to deliver a stinging attack on the coalition for what he believes is ineffective economic policy. The economy is flatlining. Where's the growth? And the question that the pundits will ask is, how prescriptive is he going to be, and whether he is a convincing leader, public performer. There'll be a lot of commentary about that. Similarly, in a funny way, there'll be parallel questions about David Cameron's role. He's had some criticism about his style of leadership, a bit too chillaxed, as they say, a bit too relaxed, laid back, non-executive chairman. I think that's changed a bit. He's had a cabinet reshuffle, but above all, we'll be looking for what ideas, if any, he and George Osborne have for helping to stimulate some growth in the economy.
Lionel, thanks very much.
Thanks, Andrew.